Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Graham on Amateur Sports TV. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Thank you so much for tuning into today's edition of the show. It's our continuing coverage of the 2020-2021 MFHL U18 AAA season here on the network. Today, I'll be joined by three members from around the league, but before we get into that, we're just going to hear from our lovely sponsor, our official sponsor, who's Pembina, who also sponsors our standings. They're the official sponsor of Coffee with Graham's MFHL season coverage, and with Pembina, it's all about natural beauty, and even better, it's made in Canada. Here's the standings for the MFHL with no league action since Wednesday, October 28th. These have remained the same. As for when the league is returning to play, we just simply don't know the answer to that question at this point in time. ASTV will keep you updated on the league's return to play date. Some positive news from around the league. The Central Plains Capitals made a fundraising video for the Portage Women's Shelter on GoFundMe.com. On the GoFundMe page, it says each year the Central Plains AAA U18 female Capitals team raises money for a worthy cause in the Portage-La Prairie area. Capitals goaltender Megan Bezweatherick and her mother Laura Lee organized this year's event. At the time of this recording, the page has been open for only 2 days, and the team has already raised just over $1,000. The goal is to reach $2,500, and the page will stay open until November 30th. If you'd like to learn more about this cause and donate today, visit the link in our description down below. And joining me first on the show is two players from the Pembina Valley Hawks, team captain and defenseman Quinn McLaren, and assistant captain and senior forward Abbi Conrad. Both of these players have put up solid numbers for the Pembina Valley Hawks this season. It was great getting to talk to them today in this edition of Coffee with Graham, our Week 7 coverage of the MFHL U18 AAA season here on Amateur Sports TV. Abbi Conrad and Quinn McLaren join me on today's edition on our 2020-2021 MFHL season coverage here on Amateur Sports TV, and it's also sponsored by Pembina, natural beauty made in Canada. Some great beauty products there. Yeah, it's a great company that's decided to sponsor our show throughout the times that we've been doing MFHL season coverage. But Abbi and Quinn join me on the show today. These girls, some big announcements this season, making their university commitments. We're going to talk about that and much more today in today's episode. But Abbi and Quinn, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining me.
Very good, thank you.
Yes, I'm good as well.
That's good. So we're going to talk about your commitments in a bit later in the show, but we're just going to talk about your guys' careers so far in the MFHL at the U18 AAA level with the Hawks. You guys both started back in 2017-18, and you guys went on a huge run that year as a team, making it all the way to the finals, unfortunately losing to Eastman in the finals in 4 games, I believe, that season. But just taking back to the time where that season transpired and just the journey you guys went on that season as a team.
Well, we had a really good backbone to our team. We had very, very good, strong leadership and also a very talented goalie between the pipes. We had Hallie Oswald, who went very far in Team Canada tryouts, and we just had very good leadership on that team and a lot of older girls who led us young rookies on a great journey and inspired us. And
yeah, I definitely agree with Abbi. Our leadership team was the best we've ever had, and just we had a lot of older girls who helped us younger ones, and they had a lot of experience being in the SO Cup the year before. Yeah, it was just a great leadership team and coaches as well.
Just going back to that season, I mean, just talking about Abbi's season with that team, I mean, she had 21 points in 65 games, and she was tied 5th on the team in assists that season with 16. And just talking about you're coming into this team, you're one of the younger players, obviously, along with Quinn, and you're able to put up this type of production. I'm sure that it was huge for your confidence that season, Abbi. Just talk about the type of player you were back then. Were you that kind of a player where you were a playmaker and your natural skills kind of shine throughout that season to let you be tied 5th on the team in assists?
Yes, for sure. And I also, as a younger one, had an awesome opportunity to play with one of the 2 top point getters on our team that year. And they also gave me the opportunity to be more creative with my play, and just always when I put a puck on their side, always find a way to put it back. I was very grateful for, and yeah, they just gave me so many opportunities on the ice, and I was on second string power play, and I just had a lot of opportunities to show my skills, I guess.
Okay, we're going to go to break real quick here. Seems like there's some technical difficulties on my side. I can't seem to hear Abbi or Quinn very well, but we're going to get that figured out in just a moment here. You're joining MFHL Season Coverage here on Coffee with Graham, sponsored by Pure Natto. We'll be right back in just a second. We'll hear from one of our other sponsors as well that have decided to sponsor today's edition of Coffee with Graham's MFHL Season Coverage. Graeme Forsyth back here on the network with Abbi Conrad and Quinn McLaren, and both of these players coming off some pretty great news during this break that they've had as a team. I mean, if there's any silver lining to what's been going on here in Manitoba is for them to be able to pursue their careers in the sports they want to play. We'll get into that and much more about just the season that they're having so far in just a moment here, but we're going to, or a bit later on here, but we're just going to continue talking about the 2017-18 season these girls had. It was their first year on the Hawks U18 AAA level team in that season, and these girls went to the finals that year, unfortunately losing to Eastman in that championship series. But I was talking to Abbi about just the playmaking ability she had in that first year, and she said that she was able to play with 2 of the top players on her team, and I mean they were great players for sure. But just talking about how not only your playmaking skills, how they grew throughout that season, Abbi, but just your overall play, getting to play with players like that are so skilled. I'm sure that you learned a lot from them.
Yes, exactly. And they were both really good leaders on the team. And I feel I developed some of my leadership qualities just by being able to watch them and how they reacted to certain things and how they dealt with adversities throughout the season. And yeah, they just really propelled me in the right direction to show me like what a great player looks like and what a great player plays like.
Nice, right on. And I mean, like at such a young age, like you said, I mean, it's so valuable to get those learning experiences for sure. So now moving on to your season and specifics here, Quinn, in that 2017-18 season. I mean, you didn't put up the same point production that you did last year or even the year before last year, but I mean, you were a rookie on the team, and I mean, a 2004 player as well, so you were a bit younger than Abbi in that season. But yeah, 8 points in 63 games, and just talking about how your game kind of shined throughout that season. Maybe in the defensive zone, were you more of a defensive zone player in that season more than your offensive ability showed in that year?
Yes, definitely. That year I felt like I held back a little more being the youngest one on the team, and I feel that my other defense partners were great leaders and like they really helped me develop that year. And I felt that year I developed the most and helped me to get to where I am now. And especially having Hallie in net really helped me become the player I am, and yeah, helped me as a defender.
Nice. And I mean, you guys talked about how it was a great season to learn from all the older players, all the leaders on the team. And I'm sure that there was a lot of growth for you guys, not only on the ice, but in the dressing room as well and off the ice as individuals. How would you guys say you guys grew as individuals throughout that season?
Well, I think I grew immensely as an individual, just like from my maturity level coming into the team, being like one of the youngers on the team with a bunch of older girls, just made me mature and I guess in the same sense become a better hockey player.
I agree with Abby. I noticed it outside of hockey that I was becoming a lot more mature, playing with girls that were 5 years older than me. And it definitely helped me develop into a leader, and they showed a lot of example of leading by example, and just definitely helped us grow into what we are today.
Awesome. And I mean, yeah, like you guys said, I mean, learning from girls like you did that season, that the girls that were on the team, I mean, it was a great year for you guys. And for you, Abby, you got to finish the 2018 half of that season off with a bang, not on the Hawks, but you played with some Hawks players on this team, and that was the team you played with at the Manitoba Games, getting that gold medal in 2018. And I mean, you're coming into this situation where you get to play with a lot of the players that you played with in that season, and finish off with the gold medal, your 2018 side of things. I mean, no better way to finish it off. And, just the pride that comes with that, playing for a team like Manitoba too, but just the feeling of winning gold that season, I'm sure it was very special for you after, going through the heartbreak of losing in that final.
Yes, definitely. It was just an incredible experience, and I can't express the excitement and happiness I felt when we got that final out and could celebrate with my team after all of the hard work we put in over the winter and all the tournaments we went to where we played like majority 4 games a day during the weekend, and it just was just uh, 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 refreshing to be able to be rewarded for all of our hard work.
Yeah, and I mean, just could you talk about the experience of going through that whole process of making that Manitoba team and just the intensity of the workouts and stuff, the practices and preparation to get ready for those games that you guys did?
Yeah, it was an intensity that I've never experienced before because we started in September with 100 girls and then cut down throughout the winter, going to daily workouts every Monday and Thursday in Winnipeg. And then once we got into the spring, we went to a tournament in Kansas City with 2 teams where we played in the tournaments. And then we made our final cuts and then to a tournament in Chicago just to get extra practice. And yeah, it was just a very hard process, but very rewarding in the end.
Yeah, for sure. And just what was the feeling like? I mean, you could have gone into this process, I mean, playing with a bunch of girls that you've, played against, but never actually played with before at this level. But you got to play with a bunch of your teammates that you played with in the season with the Hawks. And I'm sure for not only you, but all those players, I mean, it was a nice it was a silver lining to the season that you guys had where you guys lost in that final to finally get it done.
Exactly, yes.
Nice,
Very
nice.
nice.
Yeah. So, moving back to Quinn, just talking about the last 2 seasons before this year with the team, your 2018-19 season and your 2019-20 season. And just looking at your 2018 season, you had 17 points in 57 games. So some point production, it went up that year. I'm sure your defensive game also grew as well. But just looking at this season in particular, which was last year, was when you were named MFHL Top Defenseman of the Year and also named to the MFHL First Team All-Star Team, also a Hawks co-MVP. And I mean, your offensive numbers went up as well. So you were a pretty dynamic player out there. But just talk about what went into the season that you had last year to be able to win all these awards and get recognized for the player you were last year.
Last year, I really felt like I took my off ice training to the next level, and I trained 2 to 3 times a week off ice as well as and everything, and really just focused on bettering myself and becoming the best player I could be. And I really felt that my offensive game changed a lot that year, and it grew so much.
Yeah, and I mean, just the feeling you felt when you were recognized to be this top defenseman in the league. Just what were you feeling when you received that award, and just the honors of making it on that MFHL first team All-Star team as well?
It just felt amazing, recognized by the league and by my team, and yeah, it was just
Nice. And I mean, you talked about how you worked really hard in the offseason to improve your game going into that year. Were they the same things that you kind of worked on this season as well going into this year to get better, or did you do anything different to kind of improve?
I'd say I did most of the same things. I have a personal trainer during summer, and then throughout the winter I continue with workouts with a class, like it's like a class gym thing, and yeah, I feel like that helps me to improve a lot.
And just the feeling of getting recognized to not only wear a letter this year, but wear C as well. I mean, you're not a senior on the team, but I mean, you got some experience at this level. What was the feeling like getting to be recognized to be wearing that C this season?
I felt very honored, and it goes back to like my playing and like great leaders that I've had there, and just the experience as well with Team Manitoba and my other sports, and I have great coaches that help me out too.
And now just moving back to Abbi here, your 2018-19 season after your rookie year, and you were also named Rookie of the Year back in 2017-18. So, I mean, you win gold with Manitoba, you make it to the finals in your first year as a Pembina Valley Hawk at the U18 level, and you get Rookie of the Year as well. So before we move into your last few seasons before this season, I mean, just what was the feeling of you getting that Rookie of the Year nomination that season back in 2017-18 to actually winning it?
Well, it made me feel very good to be recognized for my hard work, and also with all the rookies that we had coming in, there was so much talent and so much hardworking athletes that for me being able to be picked out of that incredibly amazing pool just made me feel very good about myself, and was definitely improved my confidence on the ice and off the ice.
And do you remember where you were, how you found out about you winning the award?
I didn't know until we went to our banquet when they announced the award. I had no idea.
Right. It seems like every time I ask about how people figured out like how they won the award and stuff, they always say like they figured it out at the banquet. So I gotta remember that usually if you win an award, you figure it out the night of the banquet. So I'm sure it was a great surprise for you. I mean, congratulations. I know that was a while ago, but I mean, getting recognized for your play, especially so early on in your career, is always a great achievement. And I mean, you improved your point production in your second year as well on this team with 39 points in 62 games. I mean, just improving, you didn't have insane monstrous numbers, but definitely a production upgrade in points for sure, going from 21 points to 39 points in your second year. What do you think was the key to that production boost in that second year as a Hawk?
I think the biggest key to it was how big of a letdown losing in the finals was in the year previous, so that I came back hungry for wins and hungry for to get goals and to just be able to have another chance at winning the league title. I think was one of the biggest parts, as also being able to learn from all the amazing girls we had the year before, and just I guess, hungry to get it back to the championship game.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys unfortunately weren't able to do that in your second season. When you guys were playing in your second season, unfortunately, the last 2 years kind of down years for you guys compared to that first season that you guys played with the team. But obviously, comparing these teams to that first team, I mean, that first team was so stacked and so skilled with a lot of vets, and it seems like you guys have a lot of attributes in that way this year with a lot of veterans on your team this year, a lot of returning players. Do you find that that's probably one of the biggest strengths of your team this year, is that just the veterans that you guys got this year, the returning players?
Yes, I feel that our returning players have a lot of experience. We definitely all mesh really well together, and yeah, that's what I think.
Our first and second year players on our team this year also came off in their bantam year of winning provincials, and we just have a good group of girls, hardworking girls, and girls who know how to win and take their game to the next level.
Yeah, and I mean, like I was saying before, just like you guys have been playing for a good amount of time now, where you guys are able to kind of know each other's tendencies and stuff like that. And I mean, it's you guys definitely haven't had the exact results that you guys wanted so far, but you guys are coming off a big win against the Winnipeg Ice, which is considered to be one of the top teams in the league this season. But before we get into that, I mean, just the season that you guys have had so far, I just gotta finish talking about the season that you had in 2019-20, Abby. I mean, last season, where your point production decreased 15 points in 49 games played. Just why do you think that you saw a decrease in points that season? Was it anything to point to in particular, or just a number of things that you saw go wrong in your game?
Well, I think the biggest part of my game was that I put a whole bunch of pressure on myself to have to be the one producing, because I was one of the older girls on the team, whereas the years previous, I was always the younger one on the team. And I think that was my biggest downfall, was all the pressure that I placed on myself. And just, the bounces didn't really go my way that year. But we had a great team, and I loved the girls that we played with. But, just the biggest downfall to my game was all the pressure I placed on myself, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, pressure is always a huge thing. I mean, a player of your caliber as well, you're going to want to produce at a high level on a night-to-night basis, and it's clear why you put that pressure on yourself, because you have such high expectations. But how have you kind of learned to kind of cope with, not putting so much pressure on yourself this season? Because you are having a terrific season so far. You're tied for your team lead in points this season. I mean, you're off to a great start this year. How have you found it's been kind of, adjusting to coping with dealing with that pressure?
Yeah, and I believe a big part of me being able to kind of take a deep breath and release some of the pressure is the fact that the coronavirus could take our season away at any moment, like it has. So I just really wanted to appreciate every moment I had on the ice, and not having to put points up on the scoreboard, but just realizing that I'm working my hardest out there and leaving it all out on the ice.
Right on. Well, we're going to talk about the break that the coronavirus has caused and much more after the break. We're also going to talk about these two's university commitments as well in just a moment here, in about 30 seconds, 20 seconds, somewhere around there. But I'm joined by Abbi Conrad and Quinn McLaren on this edition of Coffee with Graeme's MFHL Season Coverage. Stick with us here on the network. We'll be back in just a moment. But first, sit back and have a listen to what one of our lovely sponsors has to say. One of our lovely sponsors that have decided to sponsor today's edition of Coffee with Graeme's MFHL Season Coverage.
At Super 8 Winnipeg West, we have your comfort in mind, with free Wi-Fi and free daily Superstart breakfast. We also have guest laundry facilities, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a jetted hot tub. Sleep well in a spacious guest room equipped with plush new bedding, a 50-inch flat-screen HD TV, microwave, mini refrigerator, and Keurig coffee maker. Or book a suite with a kitchen, ideal for extended stays. Super 8 Winnipeg West, located just inside the perimeter on Portage Avenue.
Graeme Forsyth joined by Abbi Conrad and Quinn McLaren on this latest edition of our MFHL season coverage for 2020-2021. As you guys did just see that banner on the screen, we removed it, but just joined by these two players that are wearing a letter this season. Quinn's wearing a C, and she's wearing the C, and Abbi is wearing an A for her team this season as well for the Hawks. And these two players, I mean, if there's any good news that have come out of their break so far during the cancellation of the season due to COVID-19 right now, due to Manitoba going into Code Red, it's that these two players, Quinn and Abbi, get to continue playing sports at a high level at the university level. Just starting with you, Abbi, you committed to Southwestern Community College to play a career there in softball. And I mean, I looked up your softball stats in preparation for this interview, and I mean, you got loads of achievements. Just starting off with you winning gold at the 2019 Western Canada Summer Games in Swift Current, to you being selected as an all-star infielder at the 2019 U16 Fast Pitch Canadian Championships. So just with your talent, your achievements in softball, I mean, was it a pretty easy decision to go with that over playing hockey to continue playing sports at the next level?
No, it was not an easy decision at all. I actually lost a lot of sleep over trying to decide which sport I wanted to pursue. But in the end, my love for softball was just something I couldn't ignore. Not that I don't love hockey, but it's just the game of softball to me. It really makes me excited.
And has it always been that way? Your love for softball, has it always been theirs? Has it grown throughout the years?
It has grown immensely over the years because my first few years with the Hawks, hockey was my number one sport, and softball was just something I pursued in the summer. But then after winning that gold medal at the Western Canadian Summer Games, softball just, my love just grew immensely, and yeah, I just couldn't look back, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, I mean, there's one time in your life where you thought hockey was that sport, and I mean, obviously you had a tough decision picking softball over hockey, but I mean, I feel like you did make the right decision because of your talent, your achievements that you've had in softball for sure. And I mean, like you said, things can change. Like you winning that gold at the Western Canada Summer Games for sure, that could influence anyone getting a gold medal like that, especially representing your country at that sport too. I mean, that's so great. But just go back to winning that gold at the Western Canada Games. I mean, I'm sure that it was probably a moment that you'll never forget.
Yes, it would be probably the highlight of my ball career, and just getting the chance to play with so many talented girls who every single person there worked so hard to be there and just took advantage of every opportunity that they had. It was just an incredible experience that I would love to experience again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a dream to win a gold medal at anywhere, and for you to do it at a place like the Western Canada Summer Games, for sure, is such an achievement. But just talking about what you're going to be studying at the college at Southwestern Community College, I saw on your on the Pembina Valley Hawks site, you guys have like future plans and stuff, and I mean, you wanted to pursue a career in hockey or fastball. I think they meant to say softball or like whatever it said. You're doing it with softball, but it also said that you want to be continuing studying in sciences. Is that something that you pursued and are doing, or did you pick something else to study while you're there?
No, I've decided to pursue studies in biology and then hopefully be able to get a degree in optometry.
Right on. And I mean, just for you and Quinn, I mean, for you guys to be pursuing your dreams, I mean, it both said your goals were to be playing, a sport. Like Quinn said, she wants to be playing hockey in the university level, and you said you wanted to play either hockey or softball at the university level. And I mean, you guys are pursuing your dreams. You guys are actually doing it. And I mean, for you guys to actually be doing it, I'm sure that there's so much pride and just a lot of a lot of pride that goes into that for sure for both of you guys to know that, hey, I can actually do this. My dreams are coming true.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
very incredible.
Yeah, awesome. And just going into your decision, Quinn, to commit to Lindenwood University to play a career in hockey there. I mean, you also committed early, which is pretty awesome. Only a 16-year-old because you are a 2004 born player. But why did you decide to commit so early, and why was Lindenwood the university that you decided to pick?
Well, I really felt like I had my options and I had my pros and cons list, and I felt Lindenwood had everything that I wanted in a school. And it's always been my dream to play Division I hockey in the States. So I just decided to go with my gut feeling and
Yeah, and you're joining a team, and not next year, but the year after that. And right now, this Lindenwood team, after last season, they weren't ranked so high. 37 out of 41 on the RPI rankings in the NCAA AA website for women's ice hockey. But just are you confident that you can, when you get there, hopefully they've kind of started rebuilding the team and stuff like that, but are you confident that your skills can translate to making this team, making it a turnaround for this team into finding success out there on the ice?
Yes, I feel like I can make a big contribution for rebuilding this team. And they've recently had a coach change last year, and their new coaches have amazing experience and so much experience in hockey.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, and it's a long time away, so you have a while to decide. But is there anything that you're leaning towards, going as the thing that you'll be studying, or are you still, discussing your options with your parents and stuff like that?
As of right now, I study exercise science.
Nice, nice. So that's great. Obviously, like a long time away. You got a long time to think about what you want to do, but it's great that you at least know partially what you want to do at the moment, and it would be great for you to get into that for sure. But just we're gonna move away from the university stuff here. Gonna talk about the season that you guys are having this year with the Hawks, and just starting with you, Abby. You're, of course, tied for the lead in points on your team with 5 points in 7 games. So that's including exhibition games and regular season games so far this year. And just you have a goal and 4 assists, and you've been able to show off your playmaking ability. And just talking about how you've been able to show off your playmaking ability this season. Is it the group of players you're playing with, or is it that natural ability that's shining through for you this season that's made you successful in that aspect?
Well, I believe that my line is consisting of 2 girls who are very good, and our line has just meshed so well nicely together. And also, I think like this being my last year of hockey ever, from playing when I was just 10 years old, it's really hitting close to home that I'm finally realizing that it's my last season. So I just want to go out with a bang and be able to say that I did everything I possibly could to benefit our team. And yeah.
Nice. And I'm sure, like, knowing that going into the season, like, you do know now that this is your last season playing hockey ever at a competitive level. I mean, maybe join a beer league team down the road. We'll see. But yeah, just talking about how you were probably motivated by, not getting the results with your team last year that you guys wanted, that you were motivated to put in a lot of work in the off season. So did you put in some work this off season, and what were the things that you worked on to get better heading into this season?
Well, I did do shots a couple nights a week, like shooting down in my basement against some puck board. But also with softball, I had lots of workouts I had to do with softball. So I kind of twisted them a little bit to be a little more hockey orientated. But yeah, I just worked quite hard during the off season to make sure I was ready and fit for this season.
That's awesome. And like, I mean, you're pointless in your last 3 games. You started off very consistent, but like pointless in your last 3 games. And I'm sure that that hasn't been sitting with you well. And now you have time to kind of digest that and think about that. I'm sure that you're going to be motivated going into these, the rest of the season when the season decides to return to really make a huge contribution out there.
Yes, exactly. It has motivated me more sitting here at home, thinking of all the things I can do better within my game in the next few games we have coming up. That it just, yeah, I can motivate myself to be able to produce.
And moving into your season, Quinn, you got 4 points in 7 games so far, regular season and exhibition, and I believe all of those have come in regular season, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, I think so. Oh, one goal might not have, but
Okay, so maybe she doesn't have them all in the regular season, but altogether in the regular season and exhibition play, she has 4 points in 7 games. And as a defensive player, I mean, continuing what you did last year, I mean, being able to show that offensive ability, being able to put that puck in the net, I mean, it's great for your team to rely upon a player like you that's able to do that. But just what about the things that you focused on coming into this season to kind of have the season, the start to the season that you've had right now?
well, I worked hard over there working on shooting, handling, working muscle, and getting. I kind of worked on it all.
Awesome. And could you speak about your D zone play this season, where it's at compared to other years?
I feel like I've definitely got I've gotten smarter in the D zone and just really getting that D zone coverage and becoming more aggressive in the corners and winning puck battles and clearing bodies in front of the net.
Nice. And just talking about the team as a whole this season, like we've talked about before, you guys got many returning players. You guys got a solid group of players up front this year all around, and a solid back end led by Quinn. But could you guys talk about what makes these groups? I mean, for you, Abby, what do you think makes this forward group so good this year? And for you, Quinn, what do you think makes this back end of the team so good this season?
You go ahead, Abby.
I think our coaches for I think of our coaches for the forward end have really watched us in practice and see who works well together and created lines that are very well and very fluent from first line to third line. And I also believe that we have a lot of talented girls up front on the forward end as well as the defense end, but just hardworking girls who go out there and give it their all every single shift. And yeah, are just most of them are leaders too, with their voices and keeping us up on the bench when we get down. And yeah, our talent level up front is very, very high and very hardworking as well.
As for the back end, I really feel like there's 3 of us, I think, that are leaders and we're vets. So we really help the rookies, and rookies are so such well listeners, and they really take what we have to say to them. And I definitely feel that our team this year is probably the hardest working team me and Abby have been on, and we really give it all.
Yes, for sure.
That's definitely notable on.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys started off the season slow. You guys got your first one against Eastman, and then you guys, after that, played. I mean, you guys lost in these games, but you lost 4-3 in a close game against the best team in the league, against the Avers, a game where you guys were up in. I mean, you guys played the Winnipeg Ice in your first matchup of that back-to-back when the season was still going on pretty tough too, and you guys were able to win that second game on that back-to-back in a shootout. But just talking about how ever since that Eastman game, you guys have built up to that win, and then you guys have battled these top teams in the league. Just talk about the things that you guys have seen throughout your team, the strengths. Would it be that hard work that you think has really made you guys become better in these parts of the season?
I would say it would definitely make us seem better and hard work in practice, and it's always coming out onto the ice. And getting that first win really showed the girls like what it feels like to win, and then it translates into the next games. It makes work even harder to get that same feeling again.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I fully agree with Quinn. That first win just gave us and the veterans and the rookies the confidence to take into every single game after that, just to push us forward and become a better hockey team.
And what was the feeling in the dressing room after getting that win against the Winnipeg Ice in that second game of those back-to-backs in that one weekend? I mean, you guys got solid play from your goaltender and Regan Duran. I mean, you guys battled back in that game and were able to tie it up in the third after being down 1-0, and you guys finished it off in the shootout. But just what was the feeling around the dressing room after that game for you guys? I know Regan talked about it, but I mean, for you guys personally, what was the feeling like in that dressing room?
Personally, there was a huge buzz of excitement, and Quinn and I personally haven't beat the Winnipeg Ice ever in our career, so it was just kind of very refreshing to be able to finally beat the team that we've been rivals with ever since they became inducted into our league.
I agree. The feeling was just great. Everybody had the same mindset, and we all just went out there and won, and it just feels great.
Now, you guys, unfortunately, the whole league is on a break due to COVID-19, and I know that Abbi's voiced her frustrations, not specifically, but pretty much in this episode about how it's frustrating to know that you guys are on break pretty much. But just for you, Quinn, how is the feeling knowing that, you know, you're on this break that you have no control over with this virus? I mean, the feeling must be pretty crappy. I mean, there's no positive words to really say about it, I'm sure.
Yes, it's so frustrating. And I can't even imagine how the grade 12 girls are feeling, like Abbi being at their last year, and I just can't even imagine what that's feeling like. And I think it's just really important for us to just stay connected through like virtual meetings and stuff, and keep in shape so that when we do return to the ice that we're in the best we can be.
Yeah, and how have those virtual meetings gone so far? Obviously, a lot different than being there in person, practicing with the team on ice, but how have you guys liked the virtual meetings so far?
It's definitely different. It's not ideal, but we're dealing with it. And so what we do is every Tuesdays we have workouts, and then like we work out with our trainers, and then Wednesdays we have just little meetings with just the team, and we just do little fun things like today we're doing two truths and a lie, and we about ourselves, and then we have to guess what the lie is. So just little ways to stay connected.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. It's a different way to do it. For you, Abbi, how have you found that the virtual meetings have gone so far?
Like Quinn said, it's really not the ideal way to do things, but I think one positive that can be taken out of this very negative situation is that it's just giving us another chance to focus on little things we never had got to focus on before, like team bonding with each other, learning new things about each other that we never, or like game footage. Usually we don't get a chance to do much game footage because we're busy with playing games and practicing and doing workouts. So I guess that's a positive thing we can take out of this, but yeah, it's definitely not ideal.
Yeah, and I'm just noticing that I never really asked you, Abbi, how you truly feel about this pause. I just kind of assumed, but I didn't get your exact words about how you feel exactly about how this pause is, because, like Quinn said, I mean, for you grade 12s, this is your last season, and it is going to be the season is probably going to be shortened. Not too sure what's going to be happening with the scheduling, but my assumptions are that the season is probably going to get shortened from the games that you guys were supposed to play, and hopefully you guys still do get playoffs. I'm not totally sure what's going to happen with that, but just what are your feelings exactly about how this pause is, hearing about the pause.
Yeah, it was quite heartbreaking to hear it, to be totally honest. But yeah, it's just and also the unknown. Like I'm not sure if I will ever get to play another game in my Pembina Valley Hawks jersey, or ever get to play a game of hockey ever again. But that would be the total negative part of it. But yeah, it's just quite frustrating too, like not being able to tell and not knowing if there will be playoffs or not, or if our season will be shortened, or how many games we'll get to play. It's just the unknown is quite frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, that would be terrible if you were never able to put on that jersey again. I mean, I'm hoping at least that we at least get to see some action again this season. But like this COVID-19 virus has showed us, is everything is uncertain. You can't take anything for granted. And yeah, it's a terrible time. Hopefully the season does return soon, sooner rather than later for sure. But just talking about the things that you guys are going to be doing, both of you guys are going to be doing during this break to stay in shape individually away from the team stuff.
Yeah, so I guess away from the team workouts, we also do at-home workouts on our own that are scheduled by Quinn, and our trainer gives us some mock workouts. Like this Thursday we have to do workout 1, and then on the weekends we have a game simulator workout, which is in place of a game that we will play. So it's basically a cardio workout. So yeah, just that, and I'm going to take this time to also look over some game footage to familiarize myself with other teams and how they play in their defensive zone, their offensive zone, how they set up on the power play, penalty kill, just kind of little things about the game I never got to focus on before.
I'll definitely be doing the same things, be working out, looking over game footage to not only improve or look upon what I need to improve on, but also look at what the team needs to improve on and what we're doing good now and what we need to carry on with when we do get to return to play. And I'll definitely be working on some personal skills like shooting and stick handling and stuff like that.
Well, awesome. Right on. I mean, just the things that you're able to do in your own power for sure, be able to do those things. Like, it's great to know that you guys have like mock workouts and stuff going on that you guys are scheduling that keep you in shape, try to keep you in game shape as much as possible throughout this time. But yeah, it's a tough time for sure. And it's nice to know that you guys are trying to stay positive. And it looks like you guys are staying positive throughout this time for sure, even though it has been tough on every single one of us for sure. But yeah, that's going to do it for this interview. Thank you so much for coming on today and joining me and talking about your hockey careers with the Pembina Valley Hawks and just your university signings and what this season's been like. Hopefully the season does return, and hopefully when it does, you guys can continue the success that you guys had in that last game against the Winnipeg Caisse. I was joined by Quinn McLaren, captain of the Pembina Valley Hawks U18 AAA team of the MFHL, and Abbi Conrad, senior player and forward and softball commit for Southwestern Community College, joining me on today's edition of Coffee with Graeme, our MFHL season coverage. And joining me next on this edition of our MFHL season coverage is going to be Bill Bram. Bill is the head coach of the Eastman Selects. Before we get into that interview with Bill, we're going to throw it to commercial break, but we'll be right back here with Bill Bram, head coach of the Eastman Selects, in this next part of Coffee with Graeme's MFHL season coverage. Graeme Forsyth here with Bill Bram, head coach of the Eastman Selects. His team sitting in second last place at the break here with a 1-5 record on the season, and Bill is joining me on the show today during this pause in league action for the next few weeks here in the league, and it's great to finally be sitting down and talking to the man himself, Bill Bram. We've tried to get him on the show, but my scheduling kind of hasn't matched up with his, but it's nice to finally have him on the show here. And Bill, how are you doing today?
Awesome. No, it's good to talk about hockey again.
Yeah, for sure. And if there's anything that that'll kind of take our minds off of all the stuff that's going in the world right now, it is hockey for sure. So we're going to talk about your career so far as a head coach for this team, because since it is the pause right now in league action, I feel like there's no better time to kind of talk about some of the good years that you've been the coach of this team for sure, the last few years. But when did you exactly start coaching with this team?
It was 6 years ago. I inherited a team that had won a few games in their couple of years that they were existing, and I basically took it over and kind of progressed, and until the third year we ended up winning the championship.
Yeah, and looking at that third year, Bill, I mean, being able to win a championship against competition that you guys play against, especially in the finals where you guys faced off against the Pembina Valley Hawks, a team that had so much experience coming in. They had probably the best goaltender in the league that season as well. But it wasn't like you guys were this dominant team in the regular season. You guys finished with a 500 record, 13-13, and then with 4 overtime losses as well. But what was the makeup of this team in that season that was able to propel you guys over the top to winning the championship in the league that year?
You know what? To win any championship, you need a lot of luck too. I pride myself with having my teams in good shape, and that year, I believe 9 out of the games, or 7 of the 11 games, went into overtime. And again, even against Pembina Valley, one went into triple overtime, one into double overtime. All those games we went into overtime, we won them all. And as we got into overtime, my coaching staff and I, we just looked at each other, and we were confident that we were going to come out, and the team was confident just by the conditioning that we were in. We may not have been the most talented, but as far as we worked together, and I think that was the biggest thing that put us over the edge, was the conditioning and the team cohesiveness, as far as just being a team. I always emphasize, remember what team stands for. That's together, everyone achieves more. And I basically never sat nobody. Everybody played, even in overtime. We wrote it. Everybody. We didn't sit nobody. Power plays. Everybody played. And I think that was the difference. And it helps to have. We had a very good goaltender in Reagan Kirk. Sham went on to win the MVP in the Worlds at the U18 World Championship in Japan.
Yeah,
that's a good goaltender.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard it so much throughout these past months where I've been working for Amateur Sports TV. I mean, it started with my first interview with Miguel Marcoux, assistant coach of the Belleville Barracudas in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, and he said everyone around the school knows that goaltending can take you so far. And I mean, for you guys as well, having a goaltender like Kirk and just the achievements that you had, and it seems like your team has been able to produce some MVP winners. I mean, one in particular, actually, one that I saw was Kylie Lasuk last year in 2019-2020. And, the season she had last year, I mean, the talent that you guys have been able to produce throughout these years that have come out of Eastman, I mean, it's been pretty special, I would say.
Yeah, no, she's a special player. all my last 4 captains actually have all gone on to U of M. Starting with Workington, and then Kemi Ans, and then Kylie Lusuk, and actually another girl was supposed to go there, but because of this COVID, they had no room for her this year. Which is going to be my captain this year, and she had just ended up signing with Western in Ontario. Yeah, so it's kind of good. You know what? Every one of my graduates have gone on to further their hockey education or hockey career, getting their, paying, hopefully some of their education paid for, which is, as a coach, I take pride in. I have a very good coaching staff and manager in Kurt Enns. We've built it to expose the kids to all levels, and we play in the tournaments that are scouted, and we forward. Everything is online with technology now. It's a nice way to promote your kids. So I think it's great, and I'm hard on the kids, but I'm fair, and the kids, and I think as my team and my years of coaching grow on, college and that recognize our team because I'm coaching it, and it's coached the right way, to get to that next level of what it takes. Having the 2 daughters that have played with Team Canada, it kind of showed me what it takes and the attitude you need to get to that next level. So it's nice to pass that on to these kids,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the experience that you bring, you're able to pass it along to them. And like you said, I mean, your last few captains have gone on to have great careers outside of playing with Eastman, for sure. And just moving away from the single achievement awards from individuals, just talking about the team in particular. And you guys, after that championship season, kind of had a season that, you did solid in the regular season, but didn't fare so well in the playoffs, lost in the first round. And then you came back last year, of course, a great team led by Kylie Lusek, but you lost in that first round last year to Westman in 5 games. I'm sure it was a heartbreaker, but just take me through what kind of was the downfall for your team in that series last year.
You know what? A few, like I said, that you need luck too, and we had injuries. I think that affected us a little bit. I'm not making excuses. Westman, they are a good team. I think any one of the top 5 teams in the league can win at any time. And it's going to come down, I think, to who stays out of the box, who's more disciplined, who comes to play that day, getting the bounces. Everything has to be aligned, hitting the post. I remember that 5th game there, we had 3 breakaways and didn't score at 80, so and by key players, and normally they would have, again, you get the goaltending, and those are the teams that usually, advance. I have a system where my goalies, they play, and you play till you lose. And then I play everybody. They alternate back and forth. So it's not just one goalie plays. So it's for development. And again, it's as long as we're competing, I'm happy.
Yeah. And it's not like you guys lost to scrubs by any means. I mean, you go up against the defending league champions, you go up against a top goaltender, Natalie Williamson, and you take this team to, 5 games in the first round. And like you said, basically, paraphrasing you, it's a game of inches out there for sure in this league against the top teams. And the littlest mistakes could cost you in the end. And for sure, that's hockey at the end of the day, is when you got teams as evenly matched as the teams in the MFHL. I mean, it's that game of inches, as cliche as it sounds. But just moving into this year, Coach, you guys are returning with some returning talent. I mean, 7 seniors on your team. You got 7 04s and 3 05. So you got a good mix all around. But is there a particular strength in your team this season? I mean, Kylie Lasuk not in the program anymore. Players like Madeline DeRosier, she started off solid, getting the first team All-Star in the MFHL last year, being named to that team. And I mean, Alexandria Bednar is stepping up big time for your team, having on pace for a career year so far this season. But is there any strength in particular that you could point to in this team that, it could potentially, rise up later on in the season?
I think it's going to be we're limited to we had basically from our region 17 kids try out, and then we had basically cuts from the city teams were the rest of the people that were allowed to try out, with Eastman having limited us to having only 3 kids from outside. Basically we took 1 from Kenora, so that left 2 kids from the city, and 1 was a goalie, as we only had 1 goalie try out from our area. So we were kind of limited to who we could keep and who we couldn't keep. Not saying that the bantams that were coming up couldn't step in, but it's a big jump from bantam to midget, where you've got 3 age group. You got 15, 16, and 17-year-olds. And you're coming in as a 15-year-old. It's a different ball game. And again, our last game we played against the Avros, they beat us 8-0 the first game, and they beat us 2-0 the last game. So you know what? And that game was 1-0 till 1 minute into the second, left in the second period. So you know what? We had there too. We had 2 breakaways. And again, we're up against the top goalie. But I was very happy with the way we played. If we get, I think if we do start. I think we'll be very competitive, and I think we'll be able to compete with the top teams, as we showed against the Avros, which are the top team in the league right now. It's I think 7-1. So it's again, it's a work in progress. That's why I enjoy coaching. To see the development of kids, from start till now, and once we get back to where they will be then, we're continuing to do off ice testing, and my daughter Bailey runs off ice programs twice a week. We're still continuing that on Zoom, so we're not just stopping. Again, it's with the technology, we're trying to keep the kids energized. We actually have something tonight on as far as how you exercise without abusing your body, so it's little things that will help kids, down the road, how you train, how to move your body, how to protect your body, what to eat, nutrition. So it's going to be, again, a learning curve for a lot of the kids, but it's a good one.
Yeah, and just a couple things to say here is you guys are, of course, only 1 win on the season so far, but if that game against the Avers told us anything, is that this team is improving for sure. I mean, you guys do got the talent to improve. I mean, with no exhibition games, or the little amount of the exhibition games that you guys did have. I know you guys had one against Pembina Valley, but that was after the season started, so none before. And things, work differently this year. And when you guys are limited with the players that you're able to choose from because of, the area, it makes it tough for sure. And I was talking to league president Brad Kirk in our week 5 episode, and he said that you guys had to shut down all your on-ice operations when Winnipeg went into code red because you guys did have some city players. How did that whole transition go with you guys figuring out how to kind of manage your team in these next few weeks at the time?
Well, like I said, we had to shut her down as soon as the city shut down. All of Eastman decided to shut down at the same time. Well, actually, a couple days later, we were proactive in shutting our team down right away because we had the one from Kenora and one from one from the city, and a goalie from the city. Yeah. So then there was other kids that were getting their friends were getting tested, so they couldn't come. So we decided to once this thing all clears up, we'll start up again. But it's not we're lying down. We're still the kids have an off ice program that they do every day with one day off. And my daughter, we do testing once a month on kids, beep, stuff that they have somebody do it with them. That is somebody that will kind of monitor what they're doing in a gym somewhere at school. So we can keep as long as they're progressing and doing something. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing, is not just sitting on the couch and it's tough times, not just for us, it's for everybody. Everybody's in the same boat. So it's how do you adapt now on maybe some team builders in Zoom and programs you can adjust and add to help your teams, as far as nutrition and a lot of different things, motivation, communication, so it's coaching is always, you're always learning, even at as you get older, it never changes. It's you always have new things and you have to adapt, so that's why I enjoy it. I enjoy the new things and just the challenge, like for us to compete against the city teams, it's tough. We don't have the luxury of having 80 kids try out, and we had, I think there was 35. So we had, I think 15 or 17 from the city try out, but again, we were limited to how many we could keep, so it's a challenge. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, it seems like you're staying positive. It seems like your players are staying positive from what I've heard, and it's great that you guys have been so proactive throughout this whole COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, it's hard to stay positive nowadays, and for you guys to be doing it, it's awesome to see. So I've been joined by Bill Bram, head coach of the Eastman Selects, with one of the most interesting close-ups I've ever seen in an interview. Thank you so much for joining me today, Bill. Hopefully we get back to action very soon here in the foreseeable future, and you have yourself a great team meeting tonight with your team. I know you are going on a Zoom call in about, well, let's check the time here, in about just 7:10. So have fun with that and stay safe out there. Remember to mask up, and maybe in the future we can talk to you about some hockey some more.
No, awesome. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the hockey situation, what's going on right now.
Yeah, no problem. You take care, though. Bill Bram, head coach of the Eastman Selects, joining me on today's edition of Coffee with Graeme, MFHL Season Coverage for Week 7 here on the network in the books. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much for sticking with us if you got this far into the episode. I know it was a long one today, but hopefully you guys did enjoy it. And this isn't the only show airing on the network today. We got a great lineup of shows tonight, a triple header back to back, starting at 7 p.m. It's the Untitled Show on the ice. Be sure to catch that one on Facebook and YouTube at Amateur Sports TV, or simply visit our website at amateursportstv.com. And then at 8 p.m., same thing, you can catch it at the same places as on the ice. It's the Sask Sports Show with JD Hodden. As mentioned, you can catch it on Facebook, YouTube, and our website as well, as mentioned before. And then to end off our Amateur Sports TV coverage for this Thursday evening, it's crunch time with the boys at 9 p.m. and it's our pro sports coverage show, so be sure to check that one out. And you can check it out all the places where you can check out the Sask Sports Show, this show, and on the ice, but you can also check it out at Periscope as well at Amateur Sports TV. And if you want to stay up to date with when our shows are coming out on the network, be sure to check us out on Facebook for that, Twitter as well at Amateur Sports TV, and we just got a new Instagram account because our old Instagram deleted. We don't know exactly why, something weird happened, but we made a new one. It's at amateursports.tv, so be sure to check us out on Instagram, and I'll be back here on the network on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. to keep bringing you guys guests from around the amateur sports scene here in North America. And then I'll also be back here on next Thursday at 10:30 a.m. to continue the MFHL season coverage for 2020-2021 here on the network. But that's going to do it for me. Enough rambling from me. I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth. Remember to stay safe out there, wear a mask out there, and stay social distance. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.